Hi everyone, Dave Eckert, Eats and Drinks with Dave, back for another Instagram Live, and I've got a great one today. I say that a lot, and I mean it a lot, and this one is no different. I'm going to be traveling down south to Argentina and visiting with David Bonomi, who is the young, energetic winemaker for Bodega Norton in Mendoza, Argentina. And this was a winery that has been around for a long, long time, very historic winery. And David is making some very exciting wines at this historic property. So, without further ado, always wanted to say without further ado, I'm going to try to bring David on here and have a little chat. See if technology works on northern and southern hemisphere. Waiting for Bodega Norton. Hey, there
Hey,
he is. How are
excellent.
you? Gosh, that looks
That,
so nice behind you. You're coming into summer and we're coming into winter.
yes, and in spring, very nice. This is the garden from the winery, and okay, it's perfect day in Mendoza today.
What's the temperature like? Make me very jealous because I think it's about
Approximately
35 degrees Fahrenheit here today.
uh, approximately 22, 23 degrees, near to
It's 70 something, huh?
70, 75.
That just sounds perfect. Just
Yes,
perfect. Well,
yes,
thank you. Thanks so much for joining us and spending some time with me. I've been a fan of Bodega Norton's wines for a long, long time. When I was doing my television show, Culinary Travels with Dave Eckert, I filmed a segment at Bodega Norton during one of my 3 trips that I made to Argentina. I've been a fan of, quite honestly, Argentinian wines and South American wines for a long time, too. I enjoy the wines of Chile. Before we dive into Bodega Norton, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? I understand you grew up in a winemaking family.
yes. I born in a family that produced grapes and wine for many years. No, I am the third generation in my family
Third
because
generation.
my grandfather, my father, and I produce grapes. No, and I produce wine. No, because I study in the enologist. No, in the school of the enologist, and but the most important is my family is from Italy. No,
Right.
my grandfather born in Italy, in the Piemonte, no, in
Huh.
very near to the Milano place, no, Bergamo, the city of Bergamo, uh,
Bergamo, I've been there.
and he arrived after the Second World War, and okay, continues the activities for many years in family. No, is our first activity, no, and okay, studied in Mendoza, then study in the university, in the same school, no? The Don Bosco is a Catholic
Hmm.
school, and after that, I, I made the postgrad in viticulture specifically. And studying in France, very specific condition for micro-oxygenation. I studied approximately 15 years ago. Very specific technicals in the winemaking process, but okay. But my experience is in Argentina, absolutely.
Right. My grandfather was also born in Italy. He was born in Tuscany.
Ah,
Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately, he didn't bring the winemaking background with him. I think his family were shoemakers. So I didn't have the winemaking genes. I
ah,
did, however, inherit the wine drinking genes, which
perfect.
is slightly different, but also very appreciative of what you do and what you produce. How long have you been with Bodega Norton?
I started in Bodega Norton in 2002, my first step, up to 2005, you know. But, uh, then I left Norton during 10 years because I developed a new project in Argentina from Chile because a very big winery in Chile development. And okay, I worked with Chileans guy during 10 years. And in 2014, the owner that was Norton, Michael Hasrick, the Sarowski family, called me and said, okay, I need to come back. Back to home, and okay, I returned because Jorge Riccitelli was very important winemaker in Argentina and in Bodega Norton for the last 25 years. He retired. And okay, I am the winemaker and the viticultor that replaced in that time. No, it's my six years in Norton after the first period. No.
Yes.
Very long.
How have things changed in Argentina with regards to the wine? Let me give you my personal perspective, having visited there 3 separate times in the early 2000s, in the mid 2000s, and then in the early 2010s, I guess you would call them. I haven't been there in a number of years, but when I first went in the early 2000s, the wines were almost uniformly and universally very big, very dense, very tannic. They were serious wines for serious cuisine, and they needed some time to open up, and they left your teeth purple. And almost all of the fruit that I experienced anyway was coming from Mendoza itself, and not necessarily from Tupungato or the higher elevation vineyards. When I returned to the mid 2000s, things were starting to change. They were starting to source grapes from different vineyard sites and blending them, as opposed to getting them all from in the valley. And so the wines were a bit softer. They were still very big. I mean, Malbec is a big grape. Let's not pretend that it's Pinot Noir. It's not Pinot Noir. It's Malbec. But they were starting to soften. And then when I returned in the early 2010s, all the wineries I visited, not all of their grapes were coming from, but at least some of the grapes and some of the wines were produced almost exclusively from higher elevation vineyards. And they developed this perfumed violet. You described your grandfather coming from Piemonte, almost that crushed rose type of feeling and aroma that you get in a great Barolo Barbaresco with Nebbiolo. They had some of those perfumed characteristics to them. And the wines were, in my opinion, much more balanced and much more elegant and much more approachable at a young age. So what has happened in the 6 years at Bodega Norton under your reign?
Okay, very good resume. Absolutely, applause.
Thank you.
Because yes, in the last 20 years, no, Argentina or the profile from the wines changed a little, no. Depend the winery, depend the winemakers, no. There are new generations, no. Adapted many. Very good experience, no, from the last 30 or 40 years ago, because in that time I put the focus in the next step from Norton, no, in the last 6 years. I put focus in not only Luján de Cuyo, because Norton is Luján de Cuyo. The heart from Norton is Luján de Cuyo. Is this one of the most important areas that Mendoza has for many years, more than 100 years, no, that produce Malbec and very good Cabernet and Tanat and Semillon. But in the last year, I developed the new areas in Norton, that's Uco Valley, no, because Norton started to show the new areas from Uco, no, very high altitude. There are many different places that called Tupungato, Tunuyán, and San Carlos. There are very important 3 departments. And development in the north of Argentina, in Cafayate Valley, because I produce Torrontes, in Cafayate, in Catamarca, in La Rioja, and last year I started to produce wines in San Juan, in the Pedernal Valley, very important valley from this province. And I started a new project in Patagonia. And the most important is I extend Norton from the foot of the Andes, no, more than 2,000 kilometers, no, because to the north, to the south, I have many different places that produce wines, no. Norton is one of the most important
it gives you so many tools with which to work. It gives you so many more colors on your palette. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you've extended north and south, not just up. A lot of the wineries have extended up, you know, getting higher elevation vineyards and sourcing the fruit from those higher elevation vineyards. You're doing that as well, but you're also taking advantage of all that Argentina has to offer in terms of topography and soil and climate from different regions, from up north, as you said, you know, from San Juan down to down to the south. I was looking at your website today. I've never tasted these wines. I didn't realize that you produce a range of sparkling wines.
Yes, yes. Norton is a very important winery that produces sparkling. I have two different range. No, cosecha especial is a Charmat method, but it's very long period in contact by the yeast. And the other is Norton. Norton is a very fruity character, is very short times in contact with the yeast, no, in the second fermentation, and produce very aromatic sparkling, no. But only for the local market, I produce a very tiny production from the traditional method, no, the fermentation in the bottles, and aging approximately minimum 3 years in contact by the yeast, no. And there are three important step, no? Range. And in the last year, I started to produce Gruner Berliner sparkling. The only.
Did you really?
Yes, the only Gruner Berliner from South America, no, in sparkling. And in your country, the name is 101 Bubbles, no.
101.
101 Bubbles. No?
So it's imported to the U.S.
Yes, yes. It is only from US. And it is the first project from South America in Gruner Berliner. No, Norton, because the owner is from Austria.
Yeah.
No? Karowski. And okay, I planted Gruner in 3 different altitudes and 3 different latitudes. And okay, they are very, very nice profile from the wines, and style is completely different from Austria, no? It's
oh yeah, well, I know some of your importers, some of the employees at your importers are watching this, hopefully, and if they are, I will speak directly to them now. I would like to try the Gruner Veltliner sparkling. That sounds just amazing. My wife and I are actually big fans of Gruner Veltliner because we like white wines that are dry and crisp and have great acidity and go really well with cuisine. And Gruner certainly fits all of those bills, checks all of those boxes. Let's talk a little bit about white wine in Argentina, and then we can get into what really pays the bills, and that's the red wines. You said you produce Torrontés?
Yes.
A Chardonnay, I'm assuming?
Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc?
Semillon. Okay. And for many years, previous to the 70s, no, Argentina produced more white wines and special rosé, more than wines, no. In the 8th decade, no, it started to change because changed the war, no.
Yes.
The production increased, and today is near to 58% of the red wines and 45% of the white wines, no?
You're talking the country as a whole?
Yes.
All of Argentina, okay.
All of Argentina. And Norton is a leader in white wines because one of the first winery that produced Sauvignon Blanc, and I planted Sauvignon Blanc for everywhere, no, in the high altitude today. I have to, because I adapted, no, this Sauvignon Blanc from the dry climates, but the high altitude, no, it's completely different profile. And Semillon was very nice because Norton produced for many years, no, in our cellars, no, in our historic cellars. You can drink with me when you visit.
If we ever get a chance to visit again, I promise to come visit you. Going to Argentina was one of the most fun and the most memorable trips that I would make. I would film on my show, we would film with two wineries a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So the winery in the morning would always schedule a large barbecue for the crew after the filming of the morning. So we would have the large barbecue with the empanadas and the steak and everything else, and then we would go film at the second winery when we really wanted to take a nap, and then we would film at the second winery, and then they would have a huge barbecue for us. So we would have your traditional Argentine barbecue twice a day for like 6 days in a row. And as much as I love meat and as much as I think the empanadas in Argentina are some of the finest things I've ever consumed in my life, after a while, I would have actually paid for a salad. I would have just some vegetables, a carrot, anything would have been wonderful. So I want to point out a little something that maybe people don't realize, and you can elaborate on this if you would. Most wine producing regions, when they try to go to a cooler climate, they go closer to the ocean. They do that in California. They do that in Chile. You have, the Leda Valley. You have other valleys that are closer to the ocean. You don't have that option.
No.
So what you have is elevation. So you can go higher to create a cooler climate, or you can also go farther south where it's also a bit cooler. So those are your two options. Tell me how that's different from just planting and using the ocean as your cooler, because it's sometimes it's a bit dangerous to get farther up into the mountains. You're subjected to a lot more weather phenomenon, are you not?
This one of the most important things today is go to cool climate to produce a very fresh wine. No, for many years the body, the concentration, the very tannins, no, in the wines cover a lot of fruit character, no, the primary character from the wines. But today, go to the elevation because one of the most important things is when you up 100 meters in Mendoza, no, in this latitude, you reduce approximately 1 degrees, no?
1 degree.
And it's very important for that, no? This is now the temperature in this place near to 1,000 meters, no, is 22. But when you go immediately to Uco Valley, and the elevation is near to 1,500 meters over the sea,
right,
it reduces approximately more than 5 degrees. And it's very important because the UV, no, the ozone produce more intense colors in the red grapes because the skin is very thick. But the other condition is the acidity. The acidity, high elevation is better. Very, and maintaining a very fruity character the wines, no? It's a little lighter, no, but the acidity is one of the, for me, is the backbone, no? It's the spine from the wines.
Yes.
This is the reason that after the drip irrigation, no, because for many years the vineyards development in Mendoza in the flats, no, because you need.
It was you were using flood irrigation throughout history, right? Exactly. But when you transferred into drip irrigation, you were able to much better control the vineyards and also control where you were going to plant the vineyards.
And you go up to the very important slope, no? And this is the reason that today go to the mountain to obtain very important characteristics from the wines. And the others is white grapes. And one of the most important for me challenge, no, today is produce Pinot Noir in the altitude. And this is one of the most important challenges, no, because in the last year started to produce in the high elevations or in the south of Argentina, in Patagonia.
Right.
Because
Patagonia.
Yes, this climate is very good. But today from Argentina, there are no more than 5 or 6 different wineries, very important wineries, started to develop new project in the Atlantic oceans, no, in the coast, no, and it's very new, but it's very important because there are grow condition to show more freshness, no, no pin the teeth, no, the tooth, and now there are more drinkable condition from the wines, no. It's a little change, no, more pure characteristic, a little less concentration and more pure character from the primary aromas, no.
Now, how has the climate changed from when you arrived? You started working, rather, and not arrived because you're Argentinian. When you started working in 2002 to now, it's almost 20 years. Are you witnessing noticeable changes?
Yes, there are a little change because one of the most important things is a very dry climate. No.
Yes.
In this area, the most important is the snow in the winter times.
In the Andes.
Very dry. The glacier reduced the superficie approximately more than 30% in the last 20 years. And this is one of the most important challenges to maintain this condition from the vineyards. This is the weather. It's impossible to survive vineyards in other conditions that you need at water every
water.
season.
Water, I would imagine, David, must be your most precious resource, and getting more precious every season.
Yes, yes. This is one of the most important things today.
What is the winery doing in terms of sustainability, in terms of lowering your carbon footprint, in terms of lessening your environmental impact?
Norton has important vineyards in this area. All these vineyards is sustainable conditions. This is no organic certified, but sustainable. Right. Today, started to measure the carbon, no, because in all the total process, no, and reduce the weight from the glass, and maintain in a very good condition our vineyards, no, because one of the most important background that Norton has is maintains very old vines. Today, I have more than 50% of the vineyard more than 50 years old.
Right. I was reading that you have some very old vines because obviously Bodega Norton has been around for a long time. That also gives you many more tools with which to work. I have had some winemakers tell me through the years that, like when I visited Old Vine Zinfandel vineyards in Sonoma County, or Old Vine Aglianico vineyards in Italy, or Old Vine Grenache vineyards in the south of Australia, the winemakers would say, it's not so much the varieties that matter, but it's the age of the vines that matter. That's where the real character comes from. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely, because it's our Agrelo vineyards now is 100 years ago planted, no, and more than 80% of the vine is the real vine that planted.
Original, the original. They're like trees.
No, because it's a.
No, I mean the size of the trunks. They're not how tall they are.
No, very. But the trunk.
Yeah, right.
And produce very small quantity, no, because it's a tiny production. No more than 5 or 6 bunches per vines. Very small bunches because it's a Malbec that arrived approximately 200 years ago. No, the previous that cut, no, because after phylloxera in France. Development more clones, no, but this is the original Malbec that arrived.
Do you know, are they the oldest Malbec vines in the world? Have you been able to sustain that? No,
because they lose all that with the phylloxera. No.
Right. Let's talk a little bit. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to talk about red wine because. That's what most people really know.
Okay, Dave, sorry. There are only near to 10 vineyards around in Luján de Cuyo that this is one of the oldest vineyards in the primary area, no?
Yes.
Because this is a primary area. This is the place that started the viticulture, no? approximately 150 years ago. But
Yeah.
there are Norton and approximately 2 or 3 different neighborhoods, no? And yes, there are approximately near 5 more vineyards that very, very old vines.
Let me throw you a real softball now when it comes to red wine. Why Malbec? Why did Malbec shine so brightly in Argentina?
Because it's very friendly wines. No, I have Malbec in my glass.
I do too, or I soon will. Hang on.
This is okay. It's the same.
I got the Reserva, right?
Reserve.
There we go. Cheers.
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 Uh,
Oh,
why
beautiful, beautiful wine.
because it's very fruity character. No, this is very friendly wines, very adapted for different styles because you can produce wines to drink earlier or adapted to very important terroir, no, and produce in very intense concentration. No, they are it's very plastic varietals, no, and it's very friendly in the mouth because the tannins is very soft, is sweet, and at the wine is dry, but the sweetness in the mouth is very, very nice. It's very, very
Yeah.
acidity. This is the reason that Malbec is Argentina and Argentina is Malbec in the red wines. Absolutely.
What take us, if you would, through the range of red wines that you produce at Bodega Norton. You have quite a number of different ranges. Tell us from a consumer standpoint where they should start and how they could walk up the ladder.
I have approximately 5 families, no, in the entry level. No, it's a wine that you can drink in the first or the second year for the vintage because the wine is very fresh. It's no very huge concentration. It's very soft and light. Then reserve. No, there are the second step because it's very important for me. The first years in barrels, aging in barrels during approximately 1 year. No new barrels. Second is barrel. Then there are privada. No, this is the very okay. Yes, privada. Privada is a blend. It's a more than 4% that this wine has Malbec, and then there are very specialities. No, from different terroir. No, Malbec from this area, very old vines. Malbec from Uco Valley. I have 2 or 3 different Malbec from Uco Valley, from the high altitude, and the icon wines. No, the icon wine is Malbec Privada, 100%, and this is a very specialties. No, I selection approximately 14 roads in the vineyards and selection by taste, and okay, there are approximately 5 different Malbec. This is Malbec, the Privada Malbec or lote, because there are many different specialty, no, in lote. There are specifically Malbec that for aging for a long time. No, this is more concentration. This is the wine adapted for aging for many years. No.
I had a quick question from one of the folks who's watching, wondering if you used Cabernet Franc in any of your blends, or if you produce it as a single variety.
I started to produce Cabernet Franc many years ago, no, in the approximately in 2000s, the first vintage that Cabernet Franc, but only used in blend, no. But approximately 6 years ago, when I come back to Norton, I started to produce in single varieties. No, I have Cabernet Franc from Altura, from specifically conditioning from Altamira. Altamira is geographic identifications, no, and very specific vineyards. I produce 100% Cabernet Franc, but I have 2 families, no, in blends and 2 days in single bag.
Is the single vineyard Cabernet Franc or single variety Cabernet Franc, is that available in the United States or only in Argentina?
No, it's available in your country because Altura Cabernet Franc is single vines.
Okay. Another one that I want to try. I'm directing that to your importer. That sounds amazing. It seems to me that the three most important red grapes are Malbec, definitely number one with a bullet. No, not even close.
Yes.
And then Petit Verdot and Cabernet Franc. Would you agree with that?
Okay, the second varietal for me in Argentina is Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet
Absolutely.
Sauvignon. Yeah. Okay.
Because it's the second important varietal. But in our local market is Bonarda.
Bonarda. Yeah.
Bonarda is very nice varietal to drink wines every day. No, it's very simple.
It's very soft.
Very soft. And floral flavors, and it is very good adaptive with blending with Malbec. No.
Yes.
There are in Norton. I have more than 20 different red varietals. No, but in
Wow.
Northern is Malbec, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Bonarda.
Okay. Bonarda, I've always found to be, this is not a technical term, but a little bit funky. You know, it has sort of that gamey kind of barnyardy wild flavor to it, and
Yes.
I really like that in a wine, especially when it's blended. Sometimes on its own it can be a little bit too much that, but when it's blended, like you said, it's such a wonderful blending grape to go along with Malbec, because Malbec is, you know, can be very stern and very forward, and Bernarda can kind of, you know, give it a little bit of life, you know, a sense of humor maybe, you know, to put it in human terms. So I love that a lot. Where should people start to learn about the wines of Bodega Norton?
I think it started in Malbec
Okay.
in Norton collection, because it's our entry level. It's very important from us because it's very simple to drink. It's very soft and it's not very complicated wine. No, you can eat with different foods. No, this is one of the most plastic adapted condition to drink. No, and
Right.
the second,
I want to interject real quickly. I think the word in English you're going for is elastic as opposed to plastic. A wine that can expand.
flexible.
Flexible. There you go. Okay. Yeah, because plastic and wine is not good.
Okay. No.
No, but trust me, your English is much better than my Spanish. So I'm happy to listen to you all day.
Sorry, my English adapted
No.
for these foods.
No,
Sorry.
your English is marvelous. So start with the Norton line, and then maybe you can move up into you know, some of the other steps and experience single vineyard, single varieties, things, blends, things of that nature.
In the second step, absolutely is Malbec Reserve. It's one of the most important wine that Norton has in your country. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is a hot brand for many years. You can find this wine from different shops, no, or supermarket. And, and one of the this is the real category that Malbec produces in Argentina. No, drink, but very nice body. No, you can drink the wines, but you can maintain in a very good condition the aftertaste. No, and you can drink and eat. No,
Right.
our barbecue, no, or our
Oh.
asado.
Well,
Or
I have you ever been to Kansas City, Missouri, which is where I reside? Have you ever been to Kansas City?
Yes.
You have.
Yes,
So
one.
you've had Kansas City barbecue, I'm assuming.
The ribs, no, the ribs.
Yeah,
Kansas
the ribs.
absolutely is nice, no. And okay, yes. The last last year, no, the previous year, 2 years ago.
I was just thinking how well this wine would go with Kansas City barbecue, with a slab of ribs, or with, I don't know, pulled pork with burn ends, with sliced brisket. It would go so well because it has tremendous fruit, but it has soft tannins, and it has wonderful acidity that cleanses your mouth. It's not only a great wine, it's also a great value. And like you said, it's so flexible with so many different things. So happy to share it, and happy to have the bottle to finish off tonight.
Okay.
Although I think we're having shrimp, so I'm not sure that's going to be the preferred pairing for dinner, but it's certainly going to be my preferred glass after dinner.
Okay, perfect. And you mentioned what is the next step? For me, the next
Yes.
step is the blend. Absolutely.
Right.
The Privada blend, because this wine is aging during approximately 16 months barrels. First use 50% and second use the other 50%. And the most important condition from this wine is not the winemaking process. It is the vineyard. No, because it's a very old vineyards. It's a very the vineyard is in a very nice natural condition from the production. It's a very nice balance because produce very nice concentration, huge color, and adapted from long in bottles. No, when you try very old Privada, no,
Mm-hmm.
2000 or 1995, no, the first vintage that Privada is in a very nice condition. No, this is the wine that you can taste the difference profile. No, because there are Malbec is integrated with in Merlot with because it's the acidity or the herbal notes, and Cabernet Sauvignon is the body, and in the middle is Malbec, no, to integrate and to connect
Right.
the wines. No, this is a very long taste in the mouth. They are a very powerful wines, but you can drink. No, this is I management in the vineyards low production, no, to maintain concentration, but no over one.
Well, I'm going to have to put this bottle away somewhere where I can't find it, so that I can go back and check it in 5 years or 10 years, because that sounds wonderful. There's honestly, there's not much I love more than a really well-aged wine, whether it's a Barolo, a Barbaresco, a Super Tuscan, a Bordeaux, a Burgundy, or your Privada. That sounds wonderful. So yes,
and
go ahead.
This vintage date is very important, 2016, no, because it's very cool vintage.
Right.
And cool vintage, the wines maintain more long times in a very nice condition, because in a cool vintage the acidity is better, the alcohol is a little down, but the tannin is really maintains in a very young condition the wine for many years. No, this is one of the vintage that you can maintain in your cave or in your cellar.
Well, maybe when I visit, we'll raid the cellar and try some older Privadas.
Okay. You share me a very old Privada.
Okay, David, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great vintage that's going to be coming up, and a wonderful harvest. And I look forward to talking to you again down the road, and perhaps we can try the Cabernet Franc and the sparkling and some of the other wonderful wines that you produce.
Okay, and Gruner Berliner, remember.
And the Gruner Berliner, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Muchas gracias. All righty.